There are different ways to paint the petals on chrysanthemums. And if you look at the presentation, you'll see different methods that artists use. You can paint them like this, so that painting the individual petals, and you can do this in different colors. You layer them. They're almost the shape of maybe like sunflower seeds, kind of, is what I think of them. And this can be pretty for sure, but I like this style a little more, so that's what I'm going to have you do. So to make the petal looks a lot like the petal on the orchid that we painted, the orchids, with just a few little differences. So they look like this. Same kind of idea, rounded top, but then maybe a little more of an exaggerated roundedness and then a little longer ending, especially for some of the petals that you're going to do in the exterior or the background of the flower, the longest ones, like this. So practice just making a few of those. It's like this without actually making a flower yet. If I'm coming this way, sometimes I have to turn my paper. This makes it a little easier. So practice doing a bunch of those first. And then you'll put them together. And I want you to practice making a couple of flowers. I'm starting with some really, really light paint. Probably even a little lighter. And I'm going to use that for some of the longer petals that are going to be in the background, because I want them to look like they're receding. So I've kind of tapped the excess paint off of here too. I have this idea in my mind that this is going to be the center. So I'm just bringing them in like this. And the ones that are coming like kind of towards me, making slightly different shape, like that. All right, so then I'll come back in with some darker paint, a little darker for the next round, just a little bit darker for this. Get some variation in size as well as value. Then I would let this dry. And so I've already have one over here that has dried, and I can start going in with some darker paint. There's the color that I want to use. And here's where I will start to layer them. These will be smaller. And they'll also be tighter, a little closer to each other as they come in. So now I would let this dry again. While that's drying, I'll talk to you about the stems. So the stems on a chrysanthemum are thin and they're kind of brittle. They have like little joints, sort of, where flowers come out and the leaves come out. So You don't want them to just be a completely straight line. And then here's where you would add your leaves. But we'll do that on the big one that we're going to make. Okay, I feel it's not quite dry enough, but I'm gonna go ahead anyway. So now, this is the value I'm using. I make it darker still. And so I would like to see like 4 values. I want to see a really light, slightly lighter, or slightly darker, medium, and then darker still. So I'd like to see, that should be distinct. This value changes. It's wet, so it's bleeding, but hopefully you'll get the right idea. You can look at my finished pieces to see one where it's not bleeding like that. And also at the examples. Okay, so this is a flower that's like slightly turned towards me, but you'll also want to make some that are small, like this. So for this I'm just using a couple of values. This is a bud that's not opened all the way. Once that's dry, I'll go in and get a couple of darker petals. And I can make some that are on this side. Same thing though, you want to make sure that you have a variety of values. Probably could be lighter. This, and as it dries, so I'm thinking the center is down here more. So as that dries, I'll bring in petals that are coming to the center more, like this. Okay, so practice making some stems. Start with just making some petals, then start layering, make 2 or 3 flowers, you know, different positions. And next we will pull this all together.